Welcome back to the channel, tennis fans. And hold on to your hats because the clay courts of Roland Garros are about to witness an absolute explosion of young talent. It is sure to be a pop. The 2026 French Open women's doubles draw has officially given us one of the most electrifying, highly anticipated, and frankly, fascinating partnerships we have seen in modern tennis. Alexandra Eala, the undisputed pride of the Philippines and one of the most tenacious competitors on the WTA Tour, is officially teaming up with the Canadian teenage sensation and current world number 9, Victoria Mboko. This is not just another pairing. This is a collision of two meteoric forces, two young women who have history, who have rivalry, and who are now joining forces to leave an indelible mark on the French Open doubles scene. When the entry lists were confirmed, the tennis world immediately sat up and took notice, because this tandem is all the ingredients of a blockbuster Hollywood movie. You have Eala, currently ranked 42nd in the world in singles and 88th in doubles, bringing her lethal left-handed topspin and Rafael Nadal Academy pedigree to the red dirt. And on the other side of the net, well, now on the same side of the net, you have Victoria Mboko, a powerhouse who has absolutely skyrocketed up the rankings to the top 10, bringing unmatched aggression and raw athleticism. But why is this so significant? Why is this specific partnership sending shockwaves through the tennis community? To truly understand the gravity of this moment, we have to rewind the clock and look at the deeply intertwined history of these two phenoms. They are not just two highly ranked players deciding to play together on a whim. They are former rivals who have battled on some of the biggest stages in junior and professional tennis. This is a story of iron sharpening iron, of two prodigious talents realizing that together they might just be an unstoppable force. So buckle up, because we are diving deep into the Eala Mboko tandem, their individual journeys, their tactical synergy on the clay, the absolute gauntlet of a draw they are facing, and what this means for the landscape of women's doubles at Roland Garros. Let us start by breaking down the phenomenon that is Alexandra Eala. For years, she has carried the weight of a nation on her shoulders, and she has done so with a grace and ferocity that is wise beyond her 20 years. Eala made history back in 2022 when she became the first Filipino to ever win a Grand Slam junior singles title at the U.S. Open. And who did she have to beat in the semifinals of that very tournament? You guessed it, Victoria Mboko. That match was an absolute war, a glimpse into the future of women's tennis. It was Eala's tactical brilliance and unyielding defense that saw her through to the final. Since then, her transition to the senior tour has been closely monitored by every tennis pundit on the planet. Operating out of the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Eala has practically been sculpted by the clay. She understands the nuances of the surface, the sliding, the heavy topspin, the patience required to construct points when the court slows the ball down. Earlier this season, she showed her clay court prowess by reaching the third round of the Internazionale BNL d'Italia in Rome, where it took the world number 2, Elena Rybakina, to finally halt her run. Eala's game is built on high tennis IQ. She is a chess player on the court, using her lefty angles to open up the geometry of the court in ways that drive right-handed opponents crazy. In doubles, that left-handed serve and cross-court forehand are invaluable assets, creating natural openings down the alley and allowing her partner to dominate the net. Now, let us shift our focus to the other half of this dynamic duo, the Canadian powerhouse, Victoria Mboko. If Eala is a tactical architect, Mboko is the sheer force of nature. Just think about her trajectory for a moment. She started the 2025 season ranked outside the top 300. In just over a year, she has obliterated expectations, surging to a career high of world number 9 in singles. That kind of meteoric rise does not happen by accident. It happens through overwhelming firepower and a fearless mentality. Mboko hits the ball with a heaviness and depth that forces opponents onto their back foot from the very first strike. We saw this raw power on full display at the Hong Kong Open in late 2025. In the round of 16, Mboko and Eala crossed paths again, this time on professional stage. Eala took the first set, showcasing that familiar defensive mastery, but Mboko flipped the switch, finding another gear of aggressive baseline hitting to complete a stunning comeback victory. That match proved that Mboko had matured from the junior who lost in New York. She had evolved into a top-tier WTA threat capable of hitting through the best defenders in the world. So, what happens when you combine Eala's calculated, left-handed precision with Mboko's explosive, right-handed power? You get a doubles team that is a nightmare to strategize against. In modern doubles, the most successful teams often feature contrasting but complementary styles. Eala will act as the anchor, using her heavy topspin to keep their opponents pinned deep behind the baseline and rolling angles to pull them off the court. This setup is a dream for a player like Mboko. With Eala creating the defensive pressure and the awkward angles, Mboko is free to step inside the baseline, take the ball early, and unleash her devastating ground strokes or intercept floating returns at the net. Furthermore, the lefty-righty dynamic means both players can serve out wide on crucial points with their natural forehands covering the center of the court. On a surface like clay, where power alone is rarely enough to hit through opponents, Eala's ability to manipulate spin and pace will perfectly balance Mboko's aggressive instincts. However, Roland Garros is a proving ground, and the tennis gods have decided not to make things easy for this newly formed alliance. The draw for the first round of the women's doubles has pitted Eala and Mboko against a brutally difficult pairing, Leylah Fernandez and Diana Schneider. This is a blockbuster first-round matchup that feels more like a quarterfinal or a semifinal. Leylah Fernandez, another Canadian, is a Grand Slam finalist who knows exactly what it takes to perform on the biggest stages, and Diana Schneider brings incredible collegiate and professional pedigree, as well as another tricky left-handed game to the court. For Eala and Mboko, there is no time to ease into this tournament. They cannot afford to spend the first set figuring out their on-court chemistry. They have to hit the ground running, communicating flawlessly and executing their game plan from the first server's toss. The key to this match will be how well Eala and Mboko protect their second serves against the aggressive returning of Fernandez, and whether Mboko can assert her dominance at the net against the crafty shot-making of Schneider. It is a baptism by fire, but if they can survive this opening test, the draw could open up beautifully for them. It is also important to look at the broader context of the 2026 French Open Women's Doubles Tournament. This is a historic year for the event. The defending champions, Italian Olympic gold medalists Sara Errani and Jasmine Paolini, are back and looking formidable. But the headline that has everyone buzzing alongside the Eala-Mboko pairing is the return of the legendary Venus Williams. At 45 years old, returning to Parisian clay for the first time since 2021, Venus is playing doubles with Haley Baptiste, who, coincidentally, was Eala's partner just weeks ago in Rome. The presence of Venus Williams adds a layer of prestige and nostalgia to the draw, contrasting sharply with the youthful, explosive energy of teams like Eala and Mboko. It represents a beautiful passing of the torch in the sport, where icons of the game are competing in the same draws as the teenagers and 20-somethings who grew up idolizing them. For Alexandra Eala, this tournament is about taking the next step in her evolution as a complete player. She has already proven she belongs on the WTA Tour, but a deep run in a Grand Slam doubles event with a top 10 singles player like Mboko elevates her profile even further. It gives her invaluable experience in high-pressure situations, sharpens her net game, and improves her transitional play, skills that will directly translate to her singles ambitions. She has spoken openly about wanting to conquer the clay, drawing inspiration from Rafael Nadal's legendary work ethic and mentality. Partnering with someone as intensely competitive as Mboko will only fuel that fire. For Victoria Mboko, this doubles campaign is an opportunity to showcase her versatility. When you rise to the top 10 as quickly as she has, the pressure can be suffocating. Doubles offers a different kind of competitive environment, one where the physical load is slightly reduced and the mental burden is shared. It allows her to refine her volleys, her returning, and her tactical awareness in a team setting. If she and Eala can channel their individual brilliance into a cohesive unit, they have potential to not just win matches, but to utterly dismantle established double specialists. The excitement surrounding this pairing is palpable. Social media is buzzing. The Philippines is rallying behind their superstar, and the Canadian fans are eager to see their new top 10 player hunt for Grand Slam glory. The phrase, "it's sure to be a pop," perfectly encapsulates the vibe of this tandem. They are vibrant, they are aggressive, and they represent the fearless new generation of women's tennis. They are not coming to Paris just to make up the numbers. They are coming to disrupt the hierarchy, to challenge the veterans, and to leave their mark on the French Open. As we look toward the start of this tournament, all eyes will be on Court Suzanne Lenglen or whichever arena is lucky enough to host their opening match. Will the tactical brilliance of Eala and the explosive power of Mboko gel immediately? Can they overcome the formidable hurdle of Fernandez and Schneider in the very first round? Whatever happens, one thing is absolutely certain. This is not a match you want to miss. They have the talent, they have the history, and they have the hunger. Thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive into what is undoubtedly one of the most compelling storylines of the 2026 French Open. The landscape of women's tennis is shifting, and players like Alexandra Eala and Victoria Mboko are at the forefront of that revolution. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update as we cover every angle, every upset, and every triumph of Roland Garros. Let me know in the comments below, how far do you think the Eala Mboko tandem can go in this tournament? Can they survive the first round gauntlet? I cannot wait to read your thoughts. Until next time, keep your eye on the ball and enjoy the phenomenal tennis ahead.